Hi guys, how are you all doing? Hope you're all well. So at long last we now have the next update of the Panther 401 buddy build with, well, the Panther tank buddy build with Glenn, Halidon, pardon me, sorry. I've basically got to, I'll show you the whole tank this time as I've shown you the base before. We've near enough now finished the hull, the lower hull, as you can see. I've just got to basically finish the turret. I've got to add some pigment work to the lower hull, and then I'm going to try something different with a bit of weathering technique of trying some Alcllad gloss, the shiny gloss, just basically spray it here and there to give it a wet look, because it is during December time, Battle of the Bulge time, this is set. This is Panther Ace, Ernst Barkmann's Panther G. It was Panther 401. And basically his story is absolutely incredible. Now, I have said that I would tell you the story coming up in one of the next updates, so I will. As you all know, guys, I absolutely adore my research and buying books and stuff like that. So one thing I did come across was Panther Ace, Ernst Barkmann. He was mainly, as I said, the Panther. I think he commanded a Panther A, which I'm not sure, but I believe that also had the same turret number, tank number as his G. Now, his G didn't have the sort of, it was an early Panther G. So basically, the fan blade here on one of the vents on the engine deck at the back, that wouldn't have been like that as it was, and also the gun mantlet, as you can see here, if you can see, is sort of square at the bottom there. That would be normally just rounded. I believe that's correct. So I have started, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just go on to the turret first. The lower hull. In fact, what we'll do is we'll start with the story. Right, so the research that I started was in this book here. Now, as I've mentioned before, I absolutely adore the Images of War line of books. They're absolutely fantastic for research. Pictures are a lot like this, very clear. You know, okay, a lot of them are black and white, but they also do modern armour and stuff like that, and modern titles. So there are, I did have an Abrams one, so that is actually, so that's got some colour pictures in. In fact, the majority of them are colour pictures in that. The other book I found the story in, there was a couple of books I found Barkmann's story in. It's in this one, Hitler's Elite, the SS 1939-45 by Chris McNabb. Now, it's a huge book, but it hasn't got a massive storyline in that. I also looked in this, which is a fantastic title. Again, the story isn't in that, which I'm a bit gutted with. And then the other two I bought was the Ardennes 44. There is a little caption in that, but not much. And then another Images of War, which was the Battle of the Bulge. It is in that too, but there's not much in that. So the best one I can give you is this one. Now, every book I've tried and found the story in, it sort of confirms this story. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of rivet makers out there that are going to say it's completely wrong, a load of bollocks, whatever else. Well, I believe it because I found it in numerous sources, and it's what I've drawn my story from. Now I'm going to put, probably before as in the entrance to this video, you will have seen some pictures. Now the best I've found, there isn't much research for Panther 401 as in picture wise, so the best I think I've got is of the side version. Now the keen-eyed of you guys will notice that it's got 3 plates of shears in there. Now I'd already done this, so, and I have got 2 or 3 on the other side, but I just didn't want to do another one. So it's, again, it's not 100% accurate, you know, but I'd never said it's going to be 100% accurate. I'm just going to try my best and do what I believe is right, and I can only do my best. So on this side I've also started the snow on the wheels, as you can see. Again, I showed you what I'd used for the snow. Now the snow I'd used for the wheels was this one, the AK one. Now I did say it wasn't particularly great, it was a bit crap, but if you do it on sort of wheels where there's mud and bits already, it's not too bad, because you can sort of add a bit of mud to the snow so it looks more blended in. Right, so the story goes, the day before Christmas at 2200 hours, Panthers and Panzers, Panzer IVs, led by a captured Sherman from the 2nd SS Panzer, ran into American tanks on the road to Manahay. The Americans hesitated because elements of the US 3rd and 7th Armoured Divisions were holding the line from Trois Points, Manahay, Houghton. So there were concerns about friendly fire. Panzer Grenadiers armed with Panzerfaust swiftly destroyed 4 Shermans and severely damaged 2 others. 2 Panthers received direct hits, but the rest of the column sped through the broken American positions. At this point, Panzer Ace SS Abwehrführer, sorry, I'm going to butcher that, I do apologise, so I'm just going to say, you know, it's basically technical sergeant in English. Ernst Barkmann, commanding Panther 401, got lost and drove alone onto highway N November 15. The highly decorated Barkmann was a veteran of the Eastern Front and Normandy, who along with his unit, SS Panzer Regiment II, had re-equipped with the Panther in early 1944. The experiences of Barkmann and his crew in the Ardennes were typical of the confused and chaotic nature of the fighting there. While experience was invaluable, luck also played its part. In the darkness, Barkmann, assuming his comrades were in front of him, pressed on. Some 50 metres ahead and to the right, he saw a tank with its commander standing in the turret. Assuming it was from the 2nd SS, Barkmann drew up to the left-hand side of the tank. Instructing his driver to kill his engine, he removed his radio headset. At that point, the other commander dropped into his tank and slammed the hatch shut. Then the driver's hatch popped open on the other tank, and Barkmann noticed the instrument panel light was not the same as Panther's. Now the Panther's was a wine red rather than a green colour that the Shermans had. Realising it was an American crewed Sherman, he ordered his gunner to fire. The gunner traversed, only to catch the L-70 gun barrel on the enemy's turret. The impact jammed the Panther's turret. The quick-thinking driver started the engine and backed up a few yards, and the gunner slammed around into the rear of the Sherman. Rumbling past the burning enemy tank, Barkmann spotted 2 more Shermans coming from the forest on the right of the road. These were also dealt with in quick succession. Then, rounding a large S-bend, Barkmann ran into 9 partially dug-in American tanks. He ordered his driver to press through them, and for some reason the enemy tanks did not engage. Instead, the American crews bailed out. Barkmann's Panther reached Manahay. only to be confronted by 3 Shermans coming from the direction Barkmann needed to take towards Grand Menil and Erzy. Heading northwest, he rumbled past yet more enemy tanks that were parked with their crews dismounted. The Americans watched as the Panther roared by. Then, waking to the danger, he leapt into their tanks, but as they were nose to tail, they could not target Barkmann. The Panther's crew hastily threw out a smoke bomb to cover their escape. Barkmann estimated they passed more than 80, that's 80, enemy tanks, having stumbled into the assembly area for the US 7th Armoured Division, as well as the US 82nd Airborne and 75th Infantry Divisions. The chaos did not end there. An American jeep ran headlong into the Panther, which crushed it, but in doing so, crashed into a stationary Sherman. The Panther's drive sprocket became entangled in the Sherman's tracks, and its engine stalled. The driver restarted the engine and backed up, successfully freeing the Panther. It rolled on past more American vehicles and equipment, but now with Shermans in pursuit. Barkmann coolly traversed his turret and knocked out the lead tank. Repeating the action several times, he succeeded in closing off the road behind him. He and his men finally took shelter in the forest and calmly dismounted to take the morning air and marvel at their luck. At such close quarters, Panther 401 could have been destroyed numerous times. As they stood about, they could hear Panthers firing from the direction of Manahay. Retracing his steps to rejoin their company, Barkmann counted 20 American tanks that had surrendered. After Christmas, Hitler's Ardennes offensive very quickly lost momentum, especially once the weather cleared and Allied fighter bombers set about the Panzers. In addition, a shortage of fuel proved to be the Panzer's greatest weakness. After the withdrawal of Kampfgruppe Piper, at least 15 Panthers were left in L'église and Staumont. One of those abandoned in L'église was a rare Ausf G produced as a trial vehicle for the new suspension with the steel-rimmed silent block wheels that were to be standardised on the proposed Ausf. By mid-January 1945, 282 Panthers had reportedly survived the Battle of the Bulge, of which just 97 were listed as operational. When the Allies crossed the Rhine later in 1945, very few Panthers remained in the West. Most had already been sent east to take part in Hitler's doomed counter-offensive against the Red Army in Hungary. So boys and girls, that is what inspired me to do Barkmann's Panther, as it almost seems unreal and it almost seems like it's something from a Hollywood movie really, and to be honest it wouldn't surprise me if you don't see that story retold in Hollywood, because it's just an outstanding, amazing story, and what guts that must have taken too. Anyway, back to the kit, because I'm probably sending you all to sleep now. So yeah, basically then, the lower hull is nearly done. The tracks that Glenn sent me and Al Little are done and all new enough weathered. I've just got to add splashes and add a bit of snow, add a few bits of dust on the inside here for the tracks, and then attach them. The metal ferrule tracks, the first ones I've ever used, which I will certainly use again. The markings on here, I don't know if you can actually pick it up. Let's see if we can zoom in some way. There we go. The markings are basically a photo etch that I've done. There's another one there on the side, and then I've added some more at the back that you won't see because it's all covered up on the muck, which were down the bottom there. And then I've added another one there, which has got a bit of debris, you know, like bits of forest and all that type of stuff. Let's zoom in and have a look at the mud. So the mud and all this that we're using down here on the wheels and that, and the splashes, let's have a bit more close up on some other bits. As you can see, I've added some leaves just for a bit of extra bits. Now here I've added some, it's mud and grass, it's Vallejo mud and grass. Now after a while it dries out and it doesn't have the shiny like wet look that you want sometimes, and same with a lot of the other bits of mud down here. Now I have gone overboard on the weathering, but if you watch or do your research and look at any of these tanks or vehicles from the bulge around December time, they were absolutely caked with mud. I've added bits of battle damage, which was done with a Dremel. I've damaged like the machine gun ball, and then obviously I've bent some of the shears and plates up here. What else have we done? I've added bits of damage to the wheels and all them bits there, as you can see. Now this is one of my favourite parts I've done on the tank. Obviously you can't see any of this side of the tank in any of the photos I've got of Barkmann's vehicle, so I've used a bit of artistic license, and here I've added the back shears and plate on with a chain, as though they've managed to save it but they wanted it added on for more protection. So I've just basically fed a chain which I've added to the rusting liquid, the burnishing fluid, to rust it up, and then I've just basically fed it through the holes of the shears and then added it to there. So that's that. Let's come out again. So it's just there. As you can see round the back, now a lot of these Panthers and vehicles of the bulge were basically used for tank riders. A lot of the Panzer Grenadiers and the Fallschirmjäger that were there used to get rides with the tanks and that. So again, I've wanted to add a bit of a lot of mud and that on the back, as though a lot of the vehicles, the boots and that would have done. There are the odd couple of footprints that you won't see that well. Again, I've added bits of leaves and that for there. I've added rust, which was done with oils for a change. There is the back of your Panther. I've added battle damage into the back of the stowage bins. I've made a bit of a balls up on the exhausts, which they don't connect onto the holders. If you look there, the brackets, I sort of was a bit confused, and anyway, by the by. So that's that. I need to blacken the exhausts up a little bit more because they're not as they should be really yet. The aerial's made out of copper wiring. Again, I've added bits of rust and damage to the tank, the barrel cleaning rods container. The machine gun, which somebody gladly pointed out to me, was sticking out quite a distance, so I've basically ballsed it up and knackered the barrel, because it's a metal RB barrel. And if you look closely, it is slightly bent, but again, I'm not 100% that bothered, because you can't really tell that much, so I've just shoved that back in. The mud's all climbed up the sides. Now then, as I was saying earlier, what I've used for the mud are these products. I use the heavy mud. If I don't make my own, I use these. which are all great little things to use, and then splashes. I've got about 2 or 3 of these, and just add different splashes, and it's just all about basically layering. So you start your layering the mud up bit by bit. So that's that. For the leaves and bits of grass and all that type of thing, I've used, for the leaves and grass, I've used some of this dried sea grass, which is not bad. You do get quite a bit in a box, which also I wouldn't have spent the money on it, so I mean that's going to last forever. Just for bits of your dioramas and tanks. Then for the leaves, I've used the Green Stuff World 1/35 scale a stamp. Now this is a mixed one, so you just basically feed your leaf or your pieces of paper. Now what I did was I actually went out and got some wet leaves, because it was pissing itself down when I was taking the dog for a walk, and I got them, and basically I put them in the oven a bit too long. You know, I couldn't be arsed to go out again, so I just tried it, and some of them are like probably a bit too brown actually. So once they've dried, because I've used basically Micro Industries Micro Crystal Clear to stick them down with, which is basically your PVA glue. And for a bit more of the debris, the forest debris, I've used basically mixed herbs, which, if you look carefully, looks a lot like that. And that is the mud and grass that I was telling you about. And then the other bits of mud I've used is the AK. Now this also dries, and it dries so it's not glossy. So what I do is I use this product, Alcllad II, which is absolutely fantastic. Basically, I was at Telford in 2017, and I was using the Tamiya acrylic glosses and that, which were brilliant, but I was finding that the matte, it wasn't really dull for certain builds, you know, dull enough for me. So I basically went up to Mark, it was Mark Davey, who works for Alcllad. I think it must be his company or part of his company. And I said to Mark, have you got something that will basically flatten, you know, my paint job and make it look good? And he said, but I want it to be bulletproof. And boy, was he not wrong. He gave me this, which was Alclad's Clear Coat Flat, which is ALC 314. Now, by far, and bear in mind I'm a Tamiya lover, by far this is amazing stuff. It really is fantastic. I would swear by it, I really would. Well, anyway, I ordered some more the other week, and I got this, which was more flat. But then I also got the gloss. But I've had to put that in a old Vallejo bottle because I dropped it and cracked the bottle. So it's in there. Now what I do is I decanted some of the clear coat and put it into my little plastic jugs. And I used one of these new MIG brushes, which by the way are fantastic for weathering. You've got to try these. They're not even £2, and that's even for the biggest ones, right? They're not even £2. They range from £1 onwards, right? And they're the best weathering brushes I've ever had. They're brilliant. You can get, I mean, look at these. These are great for washes, and you get one a bit thicker. And I've just got basically loads of them. All the ones I could basically find that E-models had in, and they're brilliant. They're also pretty good for painting as well, because they're synthetic. The bristles, they hold quite well. So anyway, so I'd use this brush, and basically I've gone over the mud, and as you can see on bits and bobs where the shiny bits are, especially on the back, it's made it look wet again, and that's been now 3 or 4 hours, so it's properly dry. and it just makes it look wet, which you do want in places, especially on the Ardennes type. So, and then of course you've got your dried bits up the corners where over time. Now I have added a bit of grease and oil, but I have added some onto the wheels as well, but obviously that would have been covered. You won't see it that much. I mean, the probably the best part you'll see, if I can zoom in, he says, is there. Sorry, there. Well, that is basically oils, and look how good that looks. It's, let me just find it. Yeah, it's AK's. Let's come out again. Let's come back over slightly, sorry. Steven Seagal has got nothing on me now, has he, with this new camera? Right, it is Abtai Lung. Abtai Lung 160. Okay, it's not. Anyway, it's Abtai Lung 160, and it's engine grease. And basically, you just do what you usually do with these Abtai Lung oils. Just add a bit to a card so it saps the linseed oil out, which there isn't much in these because they're made for modelling. And then you just dab a bit where you want it. And then just either thin it out a bit with your usual ways of you thinning your oils, or just don't add anything in it and just smudge it out, which it just looks brilliant. So we go back onto the barrel. I've added the bits of oil work onto this already, so the rusting, let's move that out the way. Let's move these out the way. So the rusting and that has been done. I don't know if you'll be able to see all that well, but the rusting's all been done on the sides where there's bits of bullet holes and that. I've added the odd bit of rust. That oil work that I said, that grease, I've added down the sides here where obviously it would be all greased up and that on the Panther. The metals that you can see are actually, you know, the old Humbrol, little pots of enamels. Well, that's all that is. Again, the bullet holes and the chipping on the sides. And then I wanted a different coloured barrel, so I just wanted a greyish barrel, so I just left it grey, which I've quite liked. And the MGs and everything will be done. Which is all done. The weapons and the figures, the weapons are all done. The slings are all added on, so that's all that done. I've just got to, next job is to finish the turret, finish the weathered, just the odd couple of bits onto here. I have added the odd few muddy footprints, and I've just got to add a few more bit of pigment work on it, which is not much at all. Then add a bit of snow onto the wheels, then finish the weathering on the tracks, and then obviously weather the turret, continue finishing weather the turret, then that is the vehicle done. Then I've got to add basically the vehicle to the diorama base, which I will then weather it onto the base, you know, just add the tracks on and blend it in. And then I've just got to basically paint the figures and stuff, which I was going to have, if you watched episode 1, I was going to do quite a few figures. Well, I still want to add the horse to it because I think I always associate a horse with the Ardennes for some reason. I think it's ever since watching the Band of Brothers. And I've cut down on a couple of figures because I think it's just way too busy. So I shall have a commander, which will be Barkmann, standing talking to another officer on the side, and then one tank crew peered onto the side of the tank, then probably the horse, and then a horseback, a guy on the horseback looking at binoculars into the distance, because the commander that Barkmann will be talking to is pointing, so I want him to be pointed in the direction of what the horseman the guy, the infantry soldier on the horse is looking at. So there you go. So that, guys, is about it. Please check out Mark Davey, sorry. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's a very, very talented modeller, but he's got an association with Alcllad, which they are brilliant. I have said to Mark that I will do some reviews of the products if they want me to for them, but it's up to them. But I will show you after what this Alcllad flat can do, because it really is very, very good. So yeah, I have got a inbox review that I want to do this week, which is a real special beast, which will be featured in a project this year, hopefully. All I'm going to tell you is it flies, and it's 1/35. Yeah, it's huge as well, and it's modern. So yeah, so I will do hopefully an inbox review this week, and if I'm feeling up to it, I shall probably do episode 2 of Me, Myself and Styrene. So we'll see. Right, guys, please check Glenn out as well, Halidon's channel, who I'm doing the buddy build with. Glenn's doing 2 Panthers. He's pimping one out with a load of extras, and then he's just building the same vehicle out of the box, which is the Tamiya Panther steel-wheeled version. I will put a link for his channel underneath in the description, and I shall also do a link for Mark's channel from Alcllad, and just check his channel out, because he is a very talented guy. And also, this was £5 sent through the mail, and it's 120mm, and that's lasted me for 2017. I bought that in November 2017, Telford, and it's still, look, and that's probably done the majority of my models for the last 2 years, fit final coats and that. So yeah, anyway, guys, that's it. I've bored you for long enough. I am sorry I've bored you for long enough. I will do also a monthly update. I want to try and get back to them, where I will do shout outs of people, thank yous and all that type of thing, because I just think shout outs and that type of thing, when you're trying to do a project, it can just put you off a bit. So I try and save all that type of stuff for my monthly updates, I think, which will probably be a bit easier. The next update will probably be either the tank completely finished, or I shall do an update and then I shall do updates of the figures and that, I think. Right, guys, hope you're well, hope you'll stay safe. Sorry for boring you, and may the force be with you. See you guys. Bye.